I shared with you this quote: watch your thoughts for they become words. Watch your words for they become actions. Watch your actions for they become habits. Watch your habits for they become character. And watch your character for it becomes your destiny. And so I am reiterating this beautiful quote because it is so wildly important. And for anyone who is excited about creating success in life, success in business, it's just so important to remember that everything starts with our thoughts. And that's why mindfulness is just so important when it comes to everything. Because remember that mindfulness is an awareness, an attention, and an ability to adapt our thoughts so that the rest of our lives will shift in a positive way. So today in video 3, we're going to talk once again about why mindfulness is so important. And I think right before we jump into like why mindfulness is important for success, I think we have to really define what is success for you. And you know, I shared this on my Instagram the other day that success for me is being able to wake up every morning and be excited about the day ahead. Be excited about the fact that I'm going to be doing something that I love every day, making an impact, showing up in other people's lives and helping other people achieve their own dreams. And for me, that is the meaning of success. And so I would love to know from you guys, what is your meaning of success? Is there something in your life that you really want to achieve? Is there something that you know, you wish you could do, but you've said to yourself, like, I wish I could do this, but I can't? I would love to know what that looks like. So if you could type that in the chats. If you see me looking over to the side, it is because I have my phone up so that I can actually see any comments. So put the comments in there and let me know if what success means to you. And so, because at the root of any successful life, as we just said, whatever success means to you is the practice of mindfulness, because mindfulness is an awareness, an attention, a relationship with yourself, with others, with the world. And so when we have this awareness, it becomes the foundation for what we build our success in life. And there's a direct correlation between awareness, especially awareness of self, and success, whatever that means to you. So most people are operating on autopilot. And when that's happening, you know, it's really actually part of what keeps us alive, this operating on autopilot. But it basically means that your mind has taken over. And so instead, we are at the mercy of our mind instead of learning how to use our mind. And so while that can be great sometimes, for the most part, we would like to be in control of our mind. And so a great example of when the mind takes control is like when we're driving a manual car. So I recently, well, I guess about a year ago, got a manual / standard car. I don't know what you call it in your part of the world. But for a while, when I first got my car, it was really all about like focus. I had to focus so hard the whole time that I was driving. And it's funny because like I was used to driving an automatic car. And so I would just go about the processes, just driving that car. And then when I got the standard car, it was like this whole process. People would try to talk to me, and I was like, no, don't talk to me right now. I'm driving. So, you know, and it was like my brain was actually going through the process of thinking like, I don't even know what it is now. Put the put the clutch down, shift it, put the gas down, lift the clutch. Anyways, I don't even know now. That's the thing. Yet I drive every single day. So in the beginning, I had to think about every single part of driving that manual car. And then when I would stop, you have to put the clutch down, shift it into neutral, and then hit the brake. So there was so much stuff going on, and I literally had to like think about them. I would say them in my mind, like clutch, shift, brake, blah, 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 right? So now, as you can tell, I don't think about it so often, and it just becomes really natural. And so now I can just drive, people can talk to me, you know, I'm singing songs. Sometimes I do like live videos. I record live videos while I'm driving, just like blah, 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 talking away. So in that regard, it's really awesome that our brain can, that our mind can kind of just like take over, and it does what's really important, you know, including like breathing, digestion, all that stuff. So all of that is just kind of doing on its own. But if we're not careful, it can actually start to take over other things like worry and thinking about all sorts of, you know, things that could happen, the what ifs, the, you know, the shaming, the guilt, and all of that stuff. And pardon me, you know, we also, our mind and brain have created these really interesting belief systems, which is something that I find so exciting to work with, is these belief systems. And usually the belief systems that we have are like super deeply ingrained in our like childhood for the most part. So if you think back to like, did somebody ever at one time tell you that money is hard to come by? Money is scarce, that, you know, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work yourself to the bone. You know, the harder you work, the more you make, right? And so this idea about money being so hard to come by, a lot of us grew up with that. And that's something that I work a lot with entrepreneurs, is this idea that, you know, money is so hard to come by. You got to hold on to all your money. And especially right now where, you know, in this time where, you know, everybody's working from home, businesses are shutting down, we still need to realize that money is energy. And this is a topic for a whole other day. But like, money is energy. It needs to come in, it needs to go out. And so how can we shift these limiting beliefs that we have that have been ingrained in our mind and turn these into positive? And this is part of what mindfulness does. Mindfulness allows us to become aware of what's working for us and what's not working for us, aware of our thought processes, and aware of how those are helping us or not helping us. Okay. So that's basically, you know, the basis of what I love to help people understand. And then we build on it from there. And so like for myself, I remember, gosh, I want to say like 14 years ago now, when I was working in Toronto and I had like this super fancy job. Well, I felt like it was a super fancy job. I was getting paid really good money. I was wearing the designer clothes. I was going to all the parties. I was doing all the amazing things. And a lot of people kept saying to me like, oh man, you're so lucky because, you know, you have this life, you do all these things. And at the time I actually felt like, yeah, I was super lucky. But I also knew that there was something else in life that was more important to me. And I couldn't necessarily figure out exactly what that was. But what I did know is that it was beyond working in an office building from 8:30 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. And so I had all these like dreams, these big, what people would say, big lofty dreams of, making an impact, helping people, traveling the world, doing all of these things. I had these big dreams. And I think I shared a little bit about this in video number 1, is that, finally one day I was with someone who had done all the things. They'd done all the traveling. They'd done all the things that I really wanted to do that I felt were my big lofty dreams. And I said to him, I wish I could do that. And he's like, why can't you? And I was like, well, I have a job. I have bills to pay. I have, I started listing all these things. And he's like, yeah, okay, cool. So what you're telling me is that it's not that you can't, it's that you're not making it a priority. And that like hit me super hard. So, we can all sit here and say that all of these things are happening to us, that, I can't do this in my life because that I'm not doing what I want because I don't know, like there's so many reasons, right? You can't do that because you have kids. You can't do this because your spouse, boyfriend, husband, girlfriend, whatever, doesn't like you to do it. There's all these reasons that you can tell yourself that you're not doing what you want to do in your life. But what I realized in that moment is that it all comes down to you or me. In my case, me, but in your case, you. So for me, I all of a sudden had this realization that like you wake up every morning to what you choose. You wake up to what you choose. And I've spoken about this before, and some people have said to me, yeah, well, it's easy for you to say because you don't have kids and you don't have whatever. Yeah, okay. But I know a lot of people, people used to always ask me, how come you could travel? How come you could do all this? And when I would say you can too, they'd say, but I have kids. Do you know how many people I met when I was traveling that just like uprooted their kids, brought them over to Thailand, put them into school there and got a job? Like it's a possibility. It's whether or not you're willing to make it a possibility. And if you're not willing to do what it takes to make it a possibility, then you need to stop putting it out there as a poor me, I don't have what I want, right? So how do you then take responsibility to create the life that you want? Because every single day you are waking up to the choices that you made the day before. And this was like my big epiphany. And I went home that night and I made this like, I still have it. I can show it to you guys. It's hilarious. This like old school like picture of Thailand with my beautiful graphic design skills that just says like, wake up to what you choose across it. And every day when I got to the office at the job that was like kind of going nowhere, it was a great job, but I didn't have anywhere to like level up. So every day when I got there, I would just be like, you wake up to what you choose. What are you doing today to create the future that you want? And if you can say that you're doing nothing today to create the future that you want, then that's on you. So the point here is not to feel discouraged like, oh, she's blaming me for this or that or the other. My point here is that you have 100% responsibility to change your life, to be whatever you want to be, to do whatever you want to do. And the moment that that sunk in for me, oh my gosh, my whole life changed. I like immediately got rid of the expensive apartment. I like moved in with 4 roommates so that I could keep my bills small. And within like 18 months, I think even less than that, I was like off on a year-long trip. And that extended even longer. And we'll talk about that later. But like, as I found out this is where I want my life to be, I leveled up and I did the things that I needed to do in order to get there. And so when some people say to me, oh, you're so lucky, you work from home, you've traveled so much, you've done all these things, I say it's not luck. It's that I got clarity on what I needed to do. I had behavioral flexibility. I changed the way that I behaved. I changed who I needed to be in order to get to that next level. And we're going to go through this in a moment because this is actually what we go through in my program. And then it's about taking deliberate action each and every day. And so once you have that clear vision, then you're able to take the steps to get wherever you want. So whether that is building a business, whether that is traveling. I mean, I know not everybody wants to travel like I did, but whatever it is that's in your world that you're like, oh, one day I'd like to do that, or I wish I could do this, but blah, blah, blah. How are you going to take responsibility and start showing up and create that life that you really desire, you really want, and not only that you really desire, but that you really deserve? And so that is essentially what we cover inside of my membership program. And so part of that is what I call the fundamental ABCs of creating a life you love. And I went over those like super, super briefly just a moment ago, but I'm going to pull them up. I have a slide. I don't know. I think I'm starting to go stir crazy. I've been quarantined for 5 days and I'm starting to sing everything. I think my cats think I'm insane, and maybe you do too. Okay, so, okay, that being said, inside of my membership program, we go through the ABCs, and please do not judge me by the beauty of these slides. They are so beautiful. Anyways, so these are basically the fundamental ABCs of creating the life that you love, that you desire, that is everything that you deserve and more. And so the first one, can you guys even see that? I don't know. I'll tell you what it says. The first one is awareness. And awareness is where we use a lot of mindfulness practices, is that becoming aware of our thoughts, right? Because remember what we said earlier in that basically, I mean, if you follow that whole chain, thoughts become words, becomes blah, 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 is basically thoughts, and then we'll erase the whole middle part, become your destiny. Thoughts become your destiny. And so the power of the mind is way bigger than most of us ever realize. And that we actually have the power to create the life that we want and create a way of living that makes us happiest inside. And again, whatever that may be, starting a business, traveling, playing with your kids more, whatever it is that you want to do, it all starts with the thought processes in your mind. And then, because we get a little bit funky inside the membership, we have 2 A's instead of just 1. So we have the first A is awareness, and the second A is acceptance. And acceptance is super important because it's acceptance of the fact that you are responsible for the creation of your life. So many people, and this is something, I just did my neuro-linguistic programming practitioner training, and this is something they use a lot in there as well, which is really big in the mindfulness world too, is that are you at cause of your life? Are you causing your life, or are you sitting there in effect? Are you allowing your life to happen to you? So you can choose to create your life, or you can choose to just be at the mercy of whatever happens around you. So what would you rather do? And the sooner that we become aware, number 1, aware of our thoughts, behaviors, actions that are either working for us or against us, and then accepting the fact that we now have the responsibility to create our own life, then we turn into behavioral flexibility. And so once we understand these things, it becomes behavioral flexibility. And what does that mean? Behavioral flexibility means being willing, and not just willing, taking action, but being willing to change your behaviors. Yeah, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, sure, okay, but if you want the same results, sure, keep that dog doing those same old tricks. But if you would like new results, you're going to have to teach that old dog new tricks. So being flexible in your behavior, being flexible in your values, your opinions, your thought ideas, listening to what other people have to say, this is, and they actually speak about that in the NLP training, is that this is one of the biggest indicators of successful people, is that they are able to be fluctuational. That's not a word. They are flexible. They're able to be flexible in their behavior. And the most successful people mess up their words a lot. So that's aside. That's a joke. But anyways, so behavioral flexibility is super key. And a lot of people aren't willing to be flexible on how they behave. And so once you are able to see, though, right, when that mindfulness kicks in and you have that awareness of who you're being, not only who you're being, but who you need to be to get to that next level, then the possibility of behavioral flexibility becomes a little bit more enticing, because you're like, I can now clearly see that how I'm acting, thinking, behaving is not actually in my favor. And so now we become a little bit more flexible and open to changing our behaviors, which is key. And then once we figure out, once we get through that step, and it's not just like this, like think, 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 think. There are processes. I have tons of processes inside, but understanding right now, just like, that these are the steps is already a huge step in the right direction. And then, of course, D is moving in a clear direction and deliberate steps. So I missed C, which is clarity. So clarity, we move, we get really clear. So now that we know, how we're being and how that is serving us or not serving us, and we accept the fact that there are things that we need to change, we become flexible in our behavior. Now we can get really clear on where we want to go from here, and that would be clarity. So getting clear, and that has a lot to do with really tapping into what we truly want. A lot of us say what we are supposed to want, or we say we want what we think we want. But we're going to take the steps to actually dive deep into how do we get really super clear on, what is it that you really want, despite anything society's telling you, your parents, your friends, your kids, your loved ones. How can you get clear on exactly what you want in life? And that's the next step. And then once you do that, it's taking deliberate actions in the direction that you want every single day. And, I would say that, like, boom, it's that simple. And it can be. If you really put your attention on this process, you can just A, B, C, D, boom, A, B, C, D, and you are going to see drastic improvements in how your life is going. But I like to take it a couple steps further. And then once you have started taking those deliberate steps in the direction that you want, you evaluate. How is this going? Is this still what I really want? Do I need to pivot in any way? Do I need to shift what I'm doing in any way? And then getting clear again on that. And then the last thing is really just tapping into our feelings. And that's something that a lot of us in this very modern world have been pushed to come out of. We've become a very logic-based society, speaking largely on, just what is it that we're supposed to do? Let's write a list of pros and cons. It's very logic-based, and it's really important to just really dive deep inside. You have an intuition. You have, when you say, like, I have a gut feeling, that's a real thing. You actually have another brain in your gut. I don't know if you all knew that. You actually have another brain, and it's all these neurotransmitters inside of your gut system. And so it's really important, especially the more and more that we get into these times where we're, things become very interesting for us. How do we dive deep and know what's really meant for us? And a lot of that can be tapping into that, and also tapping into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind has a beautiful plan for you. And sometimes we need to learn just to trust our subconscious mind, that it will guide us. And so that is really the upper level of everything that, we will do together. So that is essentially what you will find inside of my program. And we go super deep inside the program, but even just if you write down these steps and work through them yourself, you're going to see huge shifts in your life and what you are creating for yourself, because each and every day you are waking up to the choices you chose yesterday. And so each and every day you have the ability to create the life that you really want by making those choices, doing those actions that are going to bring you steps closer instead of steps further away, or just sitting in the same spot as you always have. And then next year you're in the exact same spot, right? So really getting clarity on all of that. And so if you have ever said to yourself, I wish I could do blah, 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 I wish I could travel the world. I wish I could live in another country. I wish I could be successful in my business. I wish I could start a business. I wish I could have $1 million, write a book, work from home. There's so many things. And I hear people say to me all the time, oh, I wish I could do that. And I just want you to know, that I know that whatever that is that you're holding in your heart, it's possible for you. It's 100% possible for you if you make it a priority. And this is the important thing. A lot of people want their cake and eat it too. I think that's the phrase. They want to have their cake and eat it too. So you want to have your cake here. So you just want a whole pristine cake. You want to have it, but you also want to eat it. So essentially means you need to have 2 cakes. So you want this cake and you want this cake so you can eat this one and look at this one and save this one for later. Cool. Especially now that we're all in quarantine, like share your cake, okay? But what I'm saying is, we can't always have it all. And so when I really wanted to travel the world, when I wanted to go see things and explore things, I couldn't also have a really nice apartment. I couldn't also have a car. I couldn't also, live on my own. I couldn't also, go out to restaurants every day. When I chose travel, I also couldn't have my family with me. Like I wanted, that would have been great if I could just put all my best friends and my family in like a little suitcase and bring them around when I wanted. But you have to let go of some things in order to get other things. And so you really need to get clear on what is the most important thing in your life. Because I'm telling you right now, you can't have it all. Maybe you can have it all. But like right now, if you're focusing on one thing, you got to put your focus on the most important thing right now. And then you can add more things, if that makes sense. So like when I decided that travel was my end all be all, I got rid of my fanciest schmancy apartment. I got a really old apartment that hadn't been like decorated for like 50 years. And there was 4 bedrooms. So I put out ads and I interviewed roommates and, so I gave up. I didn't think it giving up. I thought this as an opportunity, but like basically I was living alone and now I decided to live with 3 roommates in a small house because that brought my cost of living down. Then instead of just having 1 job, I got like 8 jobs, actually. They were all very part-time, but like I think at one point I had 8 jobs going. But they were all things I enjoyed doing, and they were all great little side jobs, selling glowing things at the exhibition, like whatever. But my goal was to travel. And so that became my priority. And so it's really, really important that when you see these goals that you're also, I love big, giant, amazing goals, but you also have to understand that you won't be able to you might not be able to have this one, this one, this one, and this one, right? So getting clear on what's truly important to you. And then what are those steps that you can take to make those happen? So I am super excited because I am actually opening the doors to my membership program. So basically what happens is every month we focus on one of these letters of the alphabet. And we have practices, we have group coaching calls, so we can all work through all of this together and we can all get super clear on what we want to do in our lives, how we're going to live our best life, and how we can truly be happy each and every single day in the life that we live. And so the doors for that will be opening next week, which I'm so excited about. But in the meantime, for those of you who have not received this through your email, make sure that you are joining the Facebook group. And if you have any questions about any of this material, how does this relate to me? Any questions at all, you can post them in the comments, or you can join me on the Facebook group. Go into the emails that you've been sent, and you'll find the link to the Facebook group there. Alternatively, just post the comments below, and let's have a conversation. If you feel like you want clarity on anything, let me know. And again, my comments aren't working. So if you're commenting right now, know that I will get to you later. I will 100% respond. If you're catching the replay, send me a note, and let's just have a conversation about this. And in the meantime, somebody asked me the other day, actually, it was so, I work with James Wedmore, and he sent out a staff questionnaire. And one of the questions on there was, what's the top 3 things on your bucket list? Or do you have a bucket list, and what are the top things on there? And I thought, wow, I guess I have a bucket list. My goal is that, my book that I'm putting out soon is going to be a bestseller. And I want to speak on stages with thousands of people. And I want to just make people love their life. Not make people, but I want to help people love their life. That's really my bucket list. And I've actually had a conversation with this recently with someone else. It's they're like, oh, and on my bucket list is this and this and this and this. And I'm like, wow, I've actually pretty much done my original bucket list. I've lived in other places. I've skydived. I've gone to festivals in all these different countries. I've traveled so many places. I've seen so many things. I've hung out with so many cool people and done so much cool stuff that I'm just so thrilled. And I just want other people to understand what is possible in this life. I want you to understand that so much is possible, and I believe in you, and I am your biggest cheerleader, because I know that there is this version of yourself that is just raring to let loose and let go and let that personality out and do exactly what you want to do in this life. And I want to be here to help you get through all of that. So like I said, let me know if you want clarity on anything, you have any questions, put those in the comments below. For those of you that did sign up for this through the email, you will get this replay. If you didn't sign up with the email and you would like the replay, just go find the link somewhere and you'll get the replay, or let me know and I will send that to you. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this 3-part series, and I will see you soon. Bye.